Hi all, welcome to yet another exciting episode of APAC Dialogue. You all are aware that this APAC Dialogue is happening for last 3 years, where we interview governance leaders, IT leaders, and leaders from various sectors to hear about their experience of working in a particular domain. What is the present? What is the future? What is the opportunity? What are the challenges? And how they're going forward to take India's IT growth story to the various corners of the world. And today we have a special guest from the state of West Bengal. We are joined by Sri Sanjay Das, Joint Secretary Department of IT and Electronics, Government of West Bengal, and also the MD of WEBEL, the IT PSU of Government of West Bengal. We welcome you, Sri Sanjay Das. Thank you so much for joining us in this episode of APEC Dialogue.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
So my first question to you will be that you have seen the e-governance journey of India, particularly about West Bengal. Where do you see the e-governance journey of West Bengal as a state has come, starting from 15 years back and today? Your opinion on that, sir?
Uh, I would rather want to highlight e-governance not in the form of electronic governance, but in the form of efficient governance. Because if there is an intervention of any digitization or digital intervention for that matter, which we often refer to as electronic governance or e-governance, and it does not increase the efficacy and efficiency of the service delivery, that electronic or digital intervention is not required. Only when you increase one, efficacy, two, efficiency, and three, most most important of that all, which I left out in my earlier sentence, is that scaling. You know, you can do wonderful things within a small office. Even in your office, you can actually, you know, experiment a lot of interventions in digitization of activities or increase in your efficiency outcome and all. When you are required to do the same thing in a large organization, only integration of that application on a larger scale will not suffice. It also creates a lot of additional challenges which you cannot perceive remaining or conducting a POC, proof of concept, in a small organization. So from that point, what I have understood over the last 20 years of the journey of e-governance, that electronic governance is not equivalent to or similar to e-governance. E does not only stand for electronics, it stands for efficacy and efficiency in governance. So the public service delivery is the essence. And what I have seen in the journey, not only in West Bengal, but across the country per se, is that initially there was this change averse attitude of not adapting to digital changes or increase in efficacy, or just identifying whether this will create job loss. There was a great threat that came down at that point of time. But later it was understood that with this efficacy and efficiency, there came enough opportunity of scaling. So initially, if a solution is acceptable and workable in your small organization, it is also acceptable and or workable in a large organization. That scaling actually brings the reach or extends the reach of public service delivery. If a government, any government, be it a state government or central government, brings out a policy to provide some sort of relief or some sort of benefit, some sort of impetus, some sort of incentive to the last man standing, whether that very effort could be easily transferred to him or that person is the moot point. Earlier, what happened? We would say, "Chalo, abhi kar lete hain. Let's do it right now, and then let's think of for this that very person, say at a later point of time." So at that, if you think of 50 years back, 30 years back, any such intervention would require ages to be adopted. But when we see the adoption of UPI, you understand in what ferocious velocity it was adopted across the community, across the country. And not only that, UPI might have been in the realms of history. UPI will be written as one of the greatest gifts from the country that is called India. India has not only gifted a lot of wonderful things to the world, so UPI is also one of the finest things that India could actually make it possible, achievable, doable, scalable, and in a manner which is very efficient as well as transparent. So efficacy is achieved, efficiency is proven, and scalability is, there is no doubt about scalability and adaptability. When you ask me about e-governance journey of our state of West Bengal, I will never alienate it with the rest of the world or the rest of the country. As a country and as a world, we are working towards a single goal. The single goal is to accept everybody's feedback and include the last man standing through a transparent, efficient, and scalable solution. That is, to me, what e-governance is.
Interesting. It's so if I can take a crux of what you have said, you basically harping on 3 points: efficacy, efficiency, and ultimately scaling up. These three combined together, that stands for you what electronic governance or e-governance. For you, e-governance is not only about electronic governance, but efficacy resulting into efficiency, and at the end scaling up. That is for
At this
smaller.
point of time, we are using electronic means or digital means to ensure this first, these three things. That's why we often refer to e-governance as electronics governance, but it is not so.
Right, right. You have seen it all. You talked about UPI. So if we can recollect or go back 20 years, 15 years back, from the days of introduction of Aadhaar, PDA system in some states, then as you talked about the some of the greatest achievements of India's digital transformation journey, we can talk about the passport seva Kendra. That was also game changing. And today we have come to the age of UPI. Everybody is having a smartphone, internet connectivity. We're talking about 5G rollout. How do you think that the newer technologies or the emerging technologies uh, has the potential to transform public service delivery? If I just take the public service delivery aspect of governance, especially with IT, how do you think that emerging technologies is going to play the role of game changer, if I may say so, in terms of reaching out to the last mile? Your thoughts on that?
Yes, emerging technology is a very simple term, but its essence is, you can say, very complex, because emerging technology is directly proportional or connected to time. When people would not have the knowledge of wheel, invention of wheel was emergence of a technology. When people would not know about use of fire, then starting using of fire was an emergence of technology. Technology is defined as a marriage between technique and logic. So when we often refer to technology as some software, as some device, as some digitized intervention, there is little lacuna in understanding. Technology is not only that. It might be a subset of technology, but technology is absolutely equivalent to our, or in tune or in sync of our perception. When you define perception, you say that it is the mind inside my brain, because it does not have any limit. So that is the perceptive ability of a man. Emerging technology immediately brings us discussion on the Web 3.0. it brings us to discuss about different, you know, means to achieve Web 3.0. So we often talk about blockchain, blockchain as a service, blockchain as a method to actually, or a process to hold data or keep data, or blockchain as a service to stamped transaction. Then we talk about AIML. So when we talk about ML, the machine starts learning, then AI, machine starts understanding, creating patterns, and based on patterns, create solutions or gives us advice which we would have perceived or we could have perceived. And at one of time, we think that we are unable to perceive. Actually, see, we as a human being will never want a machine to win over us. So that is called human perception, human thinking. So the journey of AI, from rule-based database management system to smart logic to artificial intelligence to general intelligence and ultimately to human intelligence. That means maximum a robot will become a human, because as a human will never want a robot to win over human, a robot will try to imitate or emulate a human being, and it will never want a robot to win over human. So those who say that adopting AI will actually prove that robots will win over human, they are wrong. Robots might win over me, my perceptive ability, but it might not win over you, because your perceptive ability might be greater than that. So the highest perceptive ability of a man is considered to be that of a god. So as per Swami Vivekananda, so when you actually arise to that level, when your perceptive ability and knowledge touches the zenith, so there is no one else. That is the end of everything. So there we find God standing, because there is no definition of God per se. So how could you define God? So God is the epitome of capability of a man. So a machine will only achieve up to that level, not beyond that. So we will have a lot of people with that ability who will definitely guide a machine. And last but not the least, if we start thinking about what emerging technology will change, what amount of job it will eat into, and how we will be made redundant, we will never be able to utilize the best part of it. When people start using calculator, or rather than that, before that, typewriter, calculator, transforming into digital calculator, so on and so forth, everybody knows the transaction or transition. So you cannot stop the change. The change is inevitable. It is the best that you be the change. You, at your position, whatever you are, try to adapt to the change, utilize the best part of it. And remember one thing, that emerging technology enables the greatest gift for the mankind, to understand what is going to happen. So we engage emerging technology for better alert of tsunami. We engage emerging technology for a better alert for any storm. We engage emerging technology to identify threats into our system. We engage emerging technology to understand the place where I am physically going it will be a judicious decision or not. So emerging technology is a culmination of whether it is a database and how the database is kept, how the transactions is monitored, how it is made to be unique, so that there is a complete line of custody and chain of truth. So emerging technology includes everything, be it AIML, be it drone, be it augmented reality, virtual reality, be it that this blockchain, be it cyber security. So emerging technology is a very simple term, but its connotation is great. So coming back to the moot point of emerging technology being an enabler for service delivery, absolutely. That is why we all should start learning the beautiful part of emerging technology, not the bad part of it. You can utilize any instrument in whatever form. A fork can be actually used to pick food and eat with the help of it. And fork can be utilized as a weapon too. You will not be allowed to take a fork inside while you are traveling by air. So you understand everything has two parts of it. So technology also has two parts of it. And if we remember correctly, the whether technology is for the mankind or not, it is not debate of today. It was a debate from time immemorial, and Isaac Asimov had great writings on them. So I would just by end by saying that adopting emerging technology will ensure real time delivery of service which the people wants through their elected representatives.
True, true. On a lighter note, according to you, no sooner that Judgment Day is coming, as we have seen a film 20 years back, Terminator. Because as you have rightly said, that end of the day, it's up to us, human race, that to take the best part of the technology, be it emerging technology, existing technology, and
And
harness the best part of that technology.
remember, Mr. Goswami, if I am not wrong, when we all saw Terminator, the Judgment Day, we thought it would be the last of its the series or something like that. But after that also, many more came up. So there is always something beyond that turn. That is what I wanted to add to it.
Right, exactly. And most importantly, you have raised a very valid point that keep our apprehensions at bay, think of taking the best part of the technology and try to implement those technology for a betterment of the human race for the future. And as obviously, when talk about IT in governance or the service delivery, that has to be there. Very important uh, parts raised by you. When you're talking about technology, data, everything, what the most critical part at today's juncture is safeguarding those data. I'm coming to the part of cybersecurity. I know you're known the nation as an expert on cybersecurity, and I know your department is doing a lot of work in cybersecurity, perhaps some pioneering work in cybersecurity as well. So I want to listen from you. What are the steps taken by your department in terms of building a resilient cyber resilient ecosystem? Your thoughts on that, sir?
See, today's discussion is not about promoting West Bengal. No, a dialogue cannot be like that. That is a promotional monologue. I would not like to,
I'm not here to promote West Bengal,
yes,
but some of the parts
but I
which is there.
understand that. But you see, Shobik, let me tell you very frankly, you know, a dialogue is an exchange of views, an exchange of, mind, an exchange of feeling good. If through a dialogue I don't feel good, you don't feel good, that dialogue is done. You know, it should not be there. And promotion is a monologue. When we say that we have done something else, there was something great, that means we are really frightened that there might be someone greater. So before someone greater comes up, let me put down my spike or something, my flag into it. तो ऐसा नहीं होता, ऐसा नहीं होता. ये डायलॉग में वेस्ट बंगाल क्या कर रहा है, I will just touch upon that. I would not like to elaborate on that, but I would like to elaborate on the notion that we are discussing the thing. I'm feeling very good in talking to you. That's why I'd not like to go deep into what we have done. First of all, the greatest challenge of today is privacy. 20 years back, or 22 years back, 23 years back to be very precise, when IT Act came, everybody thought that it was for safeguarding IT. No, IT Act became an act to ensure that trade is actually given an impetus. United Nations, the Unilateral Act of United Nations, that the International Act, the treaty. Based upon that, every country was mandated, whosoever was a signatory. India was a signatory. So it actually brought out that IT Act. So IT Act is to ensure that information technology platform is utilized for generating trade and conduct of business, not only between two countries, but within the country between two entities where geographical boundary will not be an impediment. The necessity of IT Act was not to safeguard, you know, this information technology or privacy per se. ये business के लिए बनाया गया था. If it was for actually rejuvenating business, giving impetus to business, incentivize business, let us understand and accept that fact. Let us not fight for everything. So if it is for the business, our approach should be to augment the business, not to prevent it. So when that happened, we had Karlo Dunia Mutti mein. So it was, if you buy X thing at Y price, you would get service for the rest of your life. And life was never defined there. It was defined in the fine prints. Until the next, promotion comes, or some changes are made, it is life. So life is not like my expectation, life expectancy, 64 years or 68 years, whatever it is. It is like until the next order or next promotion comes. So तब तक आप कुछ भी कर सकते हो, because दुनिया आपकी मुट्ठी में है. So when we started actually utilizing those services, we didn't give a damn whether they utilize or use my data, my personally identifiable data. So that led to receiving, first normal advertisement, then my choice, whatever my choice, that advertisement, then locational advertisement, all these things actually started happening. And we were a little bit shaken. When people started calling me on a birthday or offering me a facility on my birth month, then we are shaken. We start understanding that my privacy is my right, but my rights are being misutilized, or my rights is being violated because my privacy is violated not with my explicit consent. मैंने consent नहीं दिया, तब भी वो मेरे बारे में सब कुछ जानते हैं. That is called privacy. Then privacy became a big issue. In 2017, the wonderful judgment of Honorable Supreme Court came that privacy is a fundamental right. Then post that, our 66A was taken down in Shia Shingal judgment. So all these things started happening. We understand that expressing ourselves is my right. But at the same time, if someone wants to actually utilize those expressions, they must take explicit consent from. And subsequently, GDPR came in Europe, CCPA came in California state, SGPA came in Singapore, and others also in New Zealand, in Australia. All those. Small rules in IT Act also came in the country, in our country. And as we are not very, right now I don't think most of us read very intently. So we start thinking कि अरे सब तो खो गया, मेरा पूरा privacy चला गया. Even if you have a beautiful solution like Coup, which actually states that it is comparable or better than Twitter, but and as it is completely free, it is unable to actually compete with Twitter, even when Twitter has been proved that 1,888 platforms used to, get synced in 2019, and that was one of the, most important revenue of Twitter, even if it was made known to all. People on a as a as a block did not move out from Twitter to Coup, but Coup says that we keep data within the shores of India. Coup says that we don't keep data on a clear text format. Who says that? Who says this? Who says so many things? All are as per compliance that a person needs. Even then, a person gives a damn about who and still keeps an account with Twitter or keeps on tweeting. So issue is when people adopt any application, it is mostly because people wants to understand the ease of use of it. If the ease of use, if the you can say the this uh, continuance, the lack of interest in changing into a new system, all these things play a big role. So at that point of time, privacy takes a backseat. And when privacy takes a back seat and you give explicit consent to organization who are who are mostly under section 79, that means intermediary, when data given on my own volition is shared across the globe, I cannot say that it is my right and it is my privacy. A smartphone in itself is can only be used when you have a valid email ID of some specific organization who provide those organizations who provide free of cost email services. So when we use anything free, we are the product. So as soon as we start giving money for or pay for our each of our uses, we can really go hard on ensuring our privacy. So if you ask me how I look up to privacy, I look up to privacy as a matter of awareness, a matter of upskilling. Everybody must start talking to all around them and understand what amount of privacy they themselves are violating. When someone is asking for my name, it is to identify me. But when someone is asking for my name along with my parentage, it is for verification. Because my name can be held by many, but there is little chance that my parents' names were also be similar in that case. Might be, may not be. Then they will try to verify with other personally identifiable information like my mobile number, my email ID, which are unique or which may be unique. Because definitely email ID is a unique identifier. So coming down to this privacy wala kissa or mudda, let me tell you that common application form actually takes lot of data more than the organization who has given you the common application form to fill up. You would see there that it is written that what is your date of birth? You say XYZ. Then it say how many years are you today? Arya, if you have given the date of birth, the application automatically calculates how old are you. So these are called redundant information. Lots and lots of such common application forms, they collect redundant applications and they do not take responsibility of safekeeping them. Then they are strewn across, they are getting collected by bots or scrollers over the internet or network, and then they profile us. They know each and everything for us. When we realize this true caller, we don't understand. First, it takes a copy of all my contacts. Second, it utilizes my unused hard disk, that means the drive, the storage. Third, it actually pings the nearest true caller which contains the person I am calling or the person who is calling me, his or her details. That means if I don't have the phone number of Mr. Shobik Goswami, and if I have, true caller in my hand in my mobile phone, so it might show Shobik Goswami APAC or Shobik Goswami Delhi or Shobik Goswami West Bengal, because whosoever is the nearest to me, it pings from that place, and howsoever that person has saved Shobik Goswami is shown to me. That is called edge data center. So that data center is at the edge, and it collects the data and collects it and shows it to me without verification. So when we actually offer such services, accept or use such services, we offer all our data. And how can we actually protect our privacy when we consider that free applications are my go-to things? You might say, how people will actually able to continue, this thing, these services, if they are not free? No mobile phone is free. I have never heard that anyone has bought a mobile phone for free. Every mobile phone has a price. If a mobile phone has a price, then usage must also have a minimal price. And within that minimal price, we should work together to provide the minimal requirement of that person, which will allow that person to access facilities without jeopardizing his or her privacy. And that can only be done through anonymizer. And that's why West Bengal government has come out with an effort that is called anonymizer hackathon, through which it is actually collecting a lot of brains across the country. 836 groups have taken part, are taking part right now. We have gone into the final stage. Already one of the groups came out with a process patenting, and this anonymizer as a strainer will identify the personally identifiable attributes in the information, and dissociate it will dissociate those personally identifiable attributes from the information, and ensure that the anonymized data is dropped into the container, which is the anonymized data lake. From that, anybody can access the data without jeopardizing a person's privacy. So privacy is a concept, and it is important when I think it is important. So from that notion of personalized understanding of privacy, when privacy will be accepted all and sundry, that collectively it has to be prevented and it has to be ensured. Until then, there is very little any effort by any government or any act can do. If we voluntarily or our own volition share data which should not be shared, I cannot be, no one else can be held responsible for that. Only me, I am responsible for my own, distress. And from that point of why it is happening, because of my lack of understanding. So in order to save me from lack of understanding, this type of anonymizer tools as a service, they will provide me that very peace of mind that whatever I am giving, I am using the anonymizer as a service, so that only anonymized form is kept with him, and wherever he wants any specific information which has identifiable attributes about me, that person or that organization will seek explicit permission from me, then only I will allow.
Right.
So in that mode and methodology, privacy will be, protected. This is one of the efforts. I hope our effort triggers many such efforts across the country, across the globe, and collectively as a human race, we try to, protect, privacy, which is very dear to us and a fundamental right to everybody. Because my body, my data, my right. And if we do that, we will give a good challenge to a robot or a bot to fight with me, because it will not be given all such tidbits of mine which can then profile me and try to emulate me or try to overtake me. I hope,
True.
Shobik, I tried to actually go into the depth of your question and make whosoever listeners are, understand the privacy as I see and as Government of West Bengal sees. Thank you.
Right, right. Thank you so much. So I think in last 30 minutes or so, we tried to cover two, three aspects of India's digital governance journey. First, we talked about the governance journey. How do you perceive it? Then we talked about the importance of emerging technologies, and third part was the importance of data privacy and what needs to be done by us and the government and all the stakeholders, and why government of West Bengal is coming up with this hackathon. Already it's in place on data anonymizer. Why it is important. Thank you so much, Mr. Das, for joining us today for this edition of APEC Dialogue. And I'm sure who are watching this broadcast today has gained some insights on your vision. Being a policymaker over the years, we have seen the ups and downs of India's IT journey. They all are enlightened, just like me. And I'm also thank you for touching base on data anonymizer without promoting the brand West Bengal. Thank you so much, Mr. Das, for joining us today. Take care.
My
Goodbye.
pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Namaskar.
Bye. Bye.